you think about it, it is actually so stupid as a company owner to say, all right, everybody, you must come at 9 a.m. You must sit in these certain spots and you must stay all day until this particular time. You must have 1 hour for lunch and you must be back at your desk. And like, these are all the rules. And to think that we're going to get the best out of people, like half of those people are most effective at 5 a.m. in the morning. Yeah. We've already missed their 3 hours of their most productive time of the day. Mm-hmm. Another 30% of them are most effective at 11 o'clock at night, also not capturing that, because they're home at that point. So you got a few that work really well in the middle of the day. Great. Half of those people are introverted, and having to come to an office all day and manage their emotions around all these other people is also making them ineffective. Yeah. The other half of the extroverts who are like sucking energy from everyone, but maybe not actually channeling it in the right way. Like there's just so many things. And then you're having them also just have to deal with like the physical space. Like, is it a space that actually enables that particular person to thrive? And then they're having to also manage and regulate just liaising with all these other people and everybody's personal habits. Like, this person's more messy, this person's more clean, this person is like having severe anxiety every time they go in the kitchen because people don't put their dishes away. Like, all of this stuff that people are having to manage that at a subconscious level is detracting from them being able to show up happy, engaged, thriving, and producing great work. Mm-hmm. And it's like, when you look at it like that, you're like, that is actually the stupidest system I've ever heard of. Like, if someone presented it to me like that, like, do you want to run your company like this? I'd be like, that sounds dumb.
No, like 100%.
It's just ingrained.
It feels so, like, when you explain it, right, and when you think about it that way, it feels so logical to be like, wait, like, this does not make any sense. And I think this really wraps so beautifully into the way that I approach conscious leadership and how I view like things changing, and how I also think about incorporating healing, you know, as someone who has PTSD and complex trauma, and a lot of anxiety. It was very anxiety producing for me when I worked a 9 to 5. There were no windows. I was stuck in a cubicle all day. Like you said, managing kind of people's emotions and navigating all of that took a lot of energy. And actually my most productive hours weren't during the workday. So for me, you know, it's all about how can we get the most out of people through empowering them to create a life around their needs, you know, and working remotely allows for people to really craft a day around what they need. If they're most productive at 11 p.m., they can spend the day doing other things, you know, whatever, and then set their work hours when they work the best, and they'll get more for you done in that time. So it kind of feels like a win-win. People get to kind of live around what they need for their healing, for their wellness, for their, like, you know, to feel good. And they work extra hard or better or more productively because they're operating from that full cup. When you fill your cup, you can do a lot more. You want to do a lot more. You're better at what you do. You're happier. So like, why wouldn't we want this?
Totally. And like, having these conversations in the business as well, like, enables the business to become a vehicle for transformational change for everybody. Like, when we allow everybody to be who they truly are, to work in a way that they truly feel most satisfied and fulfilled, and create their own kind of lifestyle. And that kind of then comes in because obviously you get on a meeting and somebody's like staying with their grandparents for a week somewhere, and you're like, oh, cool. Like, tell us about your grandparents, or like, why are you there, or whatever. Yeah. Like, you're bringing all of this personal stuff in that's very different to like putting on the uniform, putting on the mask, and showing up at this place where you're different in this physical place than you are in the rest of your life. Yeah. And that's something that I've really seen remote work actually helps us, which is so funny because you would think, oh, but we're not together, so it must be harder to make personal connection. But actually, we've all seen it's easier because like somebody's dog runs by and like licks their face when they're on the meeting, or the kid starts screaming. It's like, well, the kid exists. Like, this person has a child. Yeah. Like, when they turn up to the office in their suit, we pretend that they don't, that they're just like, you know, Mr. or Mrs. or Ms. whatever. Yeah. And it's like, no, like, this person has like this and that, and maybe they have a sick parent, or maybe they have whatever is going on in their lives becomes more a part of it. And that also opens up opportunities to talk about like the challenges with that, the trauma, the anxiety, the whatever that might be going on. Yeah. And bringing that in and giving people the space to actually explore that and explore how work is still a part of who they are, and how can they navigate all the things they're navigating in life and work. Like, there is no such thing as this separate professional and personal self. Like, if somebody's going through hell personally, there's no way it's not impacting their work. You cannot compartmentalize at that level, and certainly not for future benefit for yourself. Like, if you're able to do it, you're probably suppressing something really significant that will come up later. Whereas if you can clear the air, tell everyone in the team, like, this is what's going on. I'm like moving through a divorce, or I'm like, my mom's really sick, or whatever. Like, sometimes just saying it and everybody knowing where you're at, then you actually can kind of get back to doing things, because it's like, okay, like
it's not taking up so much space.
Yeah. Whereas if you're trying to like hide all of that and like be all professional and show up and not let anyone see what's really going on, like, that's just so much energy to manage that, of course, it's a big distraction.
Yeah. And then you feel bad, because you're hiding part of yourself, and that eats away at you. And then it's even worse because it just adds on top of how you feel. I remember going through some really personal stuff and during my healing, and going to work and really having to like hide the fact that I just wanted to cry all day long. And that just made it so much worse. And then I couldn't get anything done. Versus, now when I have my team meetings every Monday, we do like a like personal check-in before we even like, talk about things. And I'll like say, hey, yeah, this is what's going on for me. I'm like going through a really rough time right now. Like, I recently cut my narcissistic father off. And so that for me, I thought I was going to be all good. And then for about 2 weeks, I had like a whole trauma response where I was just paralyzed and felt really depressed. And like, it was really hard. And I immediately told my team, I was like, this is what's going on. If it's hard to reach me, if like I'm a little bit, slower, if like, I'm just like making you guys aware that this is something I'm moving through, just, be extra, this is what I need. And just like letting them know, like, hey, can you just like double check on a couple of things? Can you make sure that I don't forget some things? Because I know how I get when I'm like, not well. And so they're able to move the pieces around so that we can now adjust and keep things running really smoothly, versus me hiding it and then them not being able to get a hold of me because I'm like not responding to texts, because I'm like not feeling a certain way. And then everything kind of like starts to crumble. And same for them. I have team members who have chronic illness, who have severe like autoimmune disease, who have to take sometimes days off because they have a flare up and they have to go get treatment. And immediately we're like, oh my God, take the time, please take care of yourself. I love you. We'll see you when we see you. Everybody moves around. We pick up the pieces for whatever needs to be done and make sure that that person is supported while they take care of themselves. Thanks for watching, you guys. If you enjoyed this, click here to check out the full podcast episode. Click here to check out our full library of podcast episodes. And don't forget to hit subscribe so you can be the first to know when we're posting new ones. I'll see you soon.